the end. We'll be on this call for about an hour. Take questions at the end, but we're normally called about half the district at a time. This time we're calling everybody in the district, so our participation may be larger, but we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. I'm going to run through some information that we've got, and then we will get to your questions. Our district offices are operating remotely, and call the district office. The message has been changed to give you the email address of the staffer, and make the contact that way so that we can all try to address the things you've got going on. You want to stay as responsive as possible, but I have some of my team that are in high-risk categories from this particular virus, either from age or young children, those kind of things, and so children out of school, everything else. So, we've got the same kind of problems everybody does, so we're trying to be responsive. So call the number and work with us in that direction. Unprecedented response to this pandemic. The House has passed, as you know, 2 bills that the President signed, and both of those are in operation right now. Both of them were stunningly bipartisan. The first one provided a lot of funding, emergency funding for the system, and then the second one was focused at family medical leave and taking care of folks who had to stay home with children or had to stay home to take care for someone who was sick. Treasury and IRS brothers are writing those regs right this second, and we'll be able to get that done. But the real system right now, the real issue that we're facing now is the third bill that the Congress is chewing on. It's started in the Senate. Our Senate has been working at this since about this time last week. The real tragedy is that we almost had a deal right up until Speaker Pelosi and House Democrats weighed in on Sunday to change or to bring in some issues that were really not part of the COVID response. I would say this to any Republican or any Democrat who's trying to use this tragedy that we've got going on now to sneak something into this bill or force something into this bill because it must pass to take care of some pet project or some pet issue that they've got that's unrelated to this fight. They ought to be embarrassed, and it should be the voters should take it out on them if they're part of that effort. And that's what's happened with respect. The Senate should have finished their work on Sunday, but when Speaker Pelosi and her team weighed in on Sunday, then here we are, Tuesday afternoon. I think there's a quorum call. Last time I checked the Senate floor, there was a quorum call going on, and the Senate's trying to vote on cloture one more time. We'll see if they do. If that does happen, then I expect the Senate will move expeditiously to pass the bill, and then it will be up to Speaker Pelosi to get the House back. We still don't know the details on that, but I would expect the earliest we could vote on that would be tomorrow night or Thursday morning. But as an example of some of the things that they disappointingly have tried to put in the bill would require airlines to go to zero emissions by 2025, which is a part of the Green New Deal that would bankrupt the airlines. There's a group out there trying to expand wind and solar credits. Not sure how that's a COVID-19 thing. Bail out of the Postal Service. Not sure how that's COVID-19. And then and other things, examples. So it's very frustrating for my colleagues to try this typical legislative ploy that's used all the time when we get to a situation where a bill must pass and that turns into a Christmas tree and people try to add to it. And but unfortunately, this is the worst time ever to do that kind of circumstances. By the way, to get in the queue for questions, go *3, and we will put you in the queue again to get your name and city, so that at that point in time we can get after it.
A few minutes ago, Congressman Mike Conaway called. It was a machine, of course, and he's doing what he calls town hall meetings over the phone, and so I recorded part of that, but it reminded me, this wasn't the first time that's happened, that the first time that I got a call from just exactly like that was back in 2015. I remember I was ambushed and shot in January 2012, so that's 3 years later. And I made a video about it called Personally Spoke with US Congressman Mike Conaway. He's from Midland, Texas, this US Congressman is. And I recorded his response.
With respect to how you pursued it with the police department and the Texas Rangers, and there are a lot of local and state.
Okay, and basically on this phone call, which I'm sure is recorded of me telling him, I didn't record that part, I've recorded his response. But I told him that I was ambushed and shot in my home. Back then in 2015, the secret police were still secret. They were still secret for another 3 years. Okay. And so the congressman gives me this reply, and y'all can listen to that. And then he invited me up to his office here in Midland to speak with his staff, Corbette and others. And so I contacted them, and I provided them a lot of evidence via email, so I have a record of it that they know about the fake text where they saw the evidence. That there can be no doubt. The secret police, the faked X-rays, the capital attempted murder of my life, etc. All the murder of the little girl at the 2010 also party. And then I met with them and I explained it in person. I remember having them write down the name of my friend that was at the 2010 also party where the young girl was murdered at. I believe that happened in the underground facility in my backyard. So that was January 2015, okay? And so then after that, I get this letter here. I'm going to show you. This is a official letter from Congress, okay? Congress of the United States of America, House of Representatives. It comes from Mike Conaway, okay? Thank you for contacting us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. January 22nd, 2015, and he asked me to contact U.S. Inspector General Horowitz, okay, and which I did over 100 times, email, phone calls, etc. Total dead end is what it was, and I felt like Conaway sent me on a dead end, and on purpose. And so I got back with Corbette, his assistant here in Midland. I wrote her and said, hey, I'm being ignored. A congressman advised me to contact U.S. Inspector General. They investigate public corruption. I've got a phone call from an FBI agent saying he's going to shred evidence in multiple murders. We can prove that I called the DEA 2 weeks before I'm shot by somebody under my home. I reported suspected tunnel to him. We got corruption, and the U.S. Inspector General can investigate. And anyways, you can see her response, Padilla Corbette. I apologize that that a more favorable outcome hasn't been provided. But this is legal in nature and outside of the congressman's jurisdiction. So little girls being murdered at forced prostitution oil show parties with billion-dollar oil companies that are probably donating to Conaway, right? That's not his problem. That's how I took that, and you can see the date on that. That was October 2015. And I'll go ahead and say this. I later, in 2015, because I made that very public. In November 2018, I got a second letter from Conaway from Congress. And this time, instead of contacting federal people, he wanted me to contact state people. And once again, I did exactly as requested by the congressman. And it's nothing but cover-ups, all it's been. And then we can see here last year that Congressman Conaway announced his retirement. He's still working because he called me just a minute ago, right? I recorded that. But you can see that was in the end of July 2019, and I believe it's because the crime's here. What I found out was that his brother-in-law used to live across the street from my home, and let that sink in. His brother-in-law, Jean Lejeune here, he lived at 3809 Fair Circle. I'm going to show you the house here in a minute, and you can see this is the brother of Suzanne Conaway, the wife of U.S. Congressman Mike Conaway. Also notice that there's another sibling named Marsu Wilson there, okay, and then they got some other relatives. He died. John Lejeune died in 2008. Okay, this is from the Midland County Appraisal District, and it shows the deed history for my home, okay? And what I'm showing here, before I moved here, Mike Lawhon lived here. And then before that, Brandy Merrill lived there. And see the dates on there? So, and then even before that, Morris Kurt, a teacher here in Midland. And he might know something about this home being rigged and the multiple murders and other crimes here, and maybe law enforcement wants to talk to him too. But anyway, Brandy Merrill lived in my home. She's the one that sold it to Mike Lawhon. Okay. And then this is the home at 3809 Fair Circle. This is the home where the brother-in-law of Congressman Conaway lived. Okay. And now a William Wilson lives there. So the question's been asked, is William Wilson related to Marsu Wilson? And is this home still in the family, in the Conaway family? Okay. And if you look at the deed history, what we see is that here's Cody Brindle owned it before them. That's who's on, and Daniel Price. Well, Brandy Merrill married Daniel Price. And when I moved in here, see, they didn't move out until April 2011, and I moved here in 2008. So Brandy, that used to own my home, lived in this home, what I call the Conaway home, right? And you can see why I call that the Conaway home. And you can see at the bottom, here's a John David Ward. He might know something. And here's John Lejeune, the brother-in-law of Suzanne Conaway, the wife of US Congressman Mike Conaway. Okay. Interestingly, Suzanne sent me a Facebook friend request a few years ago. And then I made a Facebook post and I tagged her. And basically I was asking, could the mayor be charged with accessory to capital attempted murder? And that was if they're involved in knowingly involved in the cover up here. Do they know about the underground facilities when Mike Lawhon was murdered? Did they know about the underground facilities when I'm ambushed and shot? Were they standing around in silence while I was at the hospital being maimed, mutilated, and dismembered? Or every single day that I've lived under the threat of death since, But anyway, she unfriended me on that day, okay? And so absolutely knows, Suzanne absolutely knows, and records will show that, okay? Interestingly, I just happened to find this. In 1990, there was a famous plane crash, and it killed 5 of Clayton Williams' executives. Clayton Williams was a multi-millionaire oil man from Midland, Texas. He's famous. He ran for governor. At the time of this plane crash, he was running for governor of Texas. One of the people that died on that plane crash was Randy Kidwell, and that is the first husband of Suzanne Conaway. Okay, so we know that Mike Conaway, U.S. Congressman Mike Conaway, is married to Suzanne in part because Kidwell died on this Clayton Williams plane crash. The question's been asked, did Clayton Williams know anything about $1 million underground facilities that were having oil show parties? Remember, he's an oil man. Okay. Another guy died on that plane crash was Aaron Gobble, okay, president of Aaron Gobble here, Petroleum Clandestine Bank, okay. He worked for Clayton Williams. Okay, of course, that was a Clayton Williams plane crash. But more interestingly, he was a vice president. I'm going to show you here, right there. Tabor Construction built my home, and one of the vice presidents, the office of directors of Tabor Construction, was Aaron Gobble. So a vice president of the now defunct company that built my home and the others in this cul-de-sac, I believe he probably built the Conaway home too, right? And he also died on the same plane crash. Okay, I thought y'all would find that real interesting. Just a little quinky dinky there. Clayton Williams just died. Just very, very recently. Okay, I'm gonna show you a map picture here. This is, you can go to Google Maps, put in my address, 3802 Fair Circle, zoom out. You can see there's the Home Depot store, the secluded truck loading lane. There's the missing tree, right? There's my backyard where we know the underground facility is. We believe it is, right? And then if you zoom out just a little bit over here, this is the Conaway home, the one with the white roof and the pool in the back. Okay. And so I'll show you that one. It's the one with the bars on the windows too. Okay. And this one is just a short little GIF I made, and I'll show it to you. It's only 1 minute. You can read what's on the screen, but basically go to Google Maps, put in my address, and you should see in the backyard of my home, there's a large facility that's only seen on the map screen, not seen on the satellite screen. And that is believed to be one of the 4 underground homes that was said to be here. That's believed to be used for the oil show parties, okay? And so I'm talking about the, Mike Lawhon died the week before the 2008 oil show started. Then my friend told me about the young girl murdered at the 2010 oil show. Aaron Packerholfer asked me, do I know the names of the 4 people that were murdered, died in my house? That's not in here, but that happened. And then also, we don't want to forget this one here. This is just a short clip of the phone call that I recorded that has so much information.
Buildings underground that he was talking about, it was not 1 million, it was actually 4, and they're actually homes.
That are underground?
3-bedroom, yes, they're 3-bedroom homes. Even asked him, I asked him about the pizza parties. They said they're not called pizza parties, but I know what you're talking about.
Right, the pedophile parties.
Okay, and so the question is is Mike Conaway retiring because of the crimes here? What does he know about underground facilities, oil show parties? What does he know about the murder of that young girl, or the murder of Mike Lawhon, or the Capitol Tenant murder of my life, or the many other homes where the homeowners reported somebody in the attic? These are big questions, and this is a congressman. I lived here, of course. Mike and Sarah Lawhon lived in this home. And they bought it from Brandy Merrill, and she ended up marrying a guy named Daniel Price. And when I first moved in here in 2008, transferred in from out of town, they lived across the street, Brandy and Daniel Price, and they lived. And I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna walk out there. We're gonna look at this home, and we're going outside now here. And where they lived here, we're going out my front door. Here's a cul-de-sac, okay? Fair Circle, Midland, Texas, okay? And so, let's see. It's the house with the white van in front. I'm gonna zoom in on it. You see it right there? Okay. And that one is 3809 Fair Circle. And interestingly, that home is where the brother-in-law of US Congressman Mike Conaway used to live, and that's real interesting. Some people are suspecting that Conaway isn't running for re-election because of the crimes here at my home, and might even have knowledge of $1 million underground facility where oil show parties were held. Looks like one of them's in my backyard right there.